So we're going to break some of this bit up. You can see I've got both eyes painted in. I haven't painted in the yellow flesh over here at the moment. Just going to work on this bit and start to model to you how to break up what you see in your photograph, where you just think of it as tone. Don't think of it necessarily as flesh. Just think of it of different tones of your skin tone. And also, if you're using an image, so remember I'm using these pinks and oranges and yellows to enrichen my palette. I need what I do here to match what I've got over here. So it's almost making it easier to have that wider range of tones. So you're looking in your photo for identifiable areas where you can make a difference to the colour that you've got. So in my photo, there's an ellipse here, which is a little bit like the ellipse I did up there. I want to look at it as if I'm coming in from underneath. And in my photo, it's quite a dark tone. So I'm going to mix a fairly dark version of the colours that I was using on the ear before, going a little bit cautiously around the shape of my ellipse, but I want to show the ellipse as if I'm underneath this water. Remember, if you've taken a photograph of your drawing, you've got the photograph there to help you with prompts to what colour, what shape goes where. So I'm going to put that in. That's fairly bold, that's fairly pink, which is a little bit scary at the moment because it doesn't feel like it matches with anything else in the painting. It feels too pinky pink. But if I take my yellow colour straight from my palette, so that pale yellow that I've got everywhere else, and I just paint it back over. Remember, you don't want too much water in any of these paints because they'll just end up doing what watercolour does. And that means you're not blending them. You're just going to end up with a really wet, murky set of colours. You want to keep your colours fresh and blended and quite separate. So I'm a bit more comfortable with that. It's a bit less pink. That's not quite the right shape, so I'm just going to correct that by coming up from underneath there, get that ellipse back in. Now I'm going to go more bravely into my colours that I've taken from Jenny Saville, because I don't want it to be pink, but I do want it to be darker. And my colour palette from this image is that my darker colours are going to come from more oranges and more pink. So I'm looking for the tone, just like I did when I was doing the ear. I'm going to work with broken mark making. I'm actually just using the neon orange at the moment because I need to get that contrast in. So that pink that I had in there before starts to disappear a little bit, but it is still there within my range. I don't want this shape to look as if it's been outlined, so I want that colour to come back in across the middle of the ellipse as well. And now I'm going back into my ellipse. That orange is still quite wet, and I'm sort of dragging my pink into the darkest areas, so the darkest areas within that ellipse. And they are quite dark because in my photograph it's sort of got the eyebrows distorted into that shape, but I'm not painting the eyebrows as eyebrows because that's not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is darker shades of that pink. And then I'm going to leave that area to dry a little bit, and I'm going to come back to my yellow with some of the orange in. It's a bit watery. And I'm looking now at the face and how I might put the eye socket in around the face. I can't really see that shape in my photo. I can't really see that eye socket, but I know it's there. So again, I'm using what I know as well as what I see, because I want to be able to show the tone around the three-dimensional qualities of the face. Because I know that in my photograph everything gets darker towards the edge of the vase, I'm making it darker. I'm using that pink to make it darker. Remember, I'm using the Jenny Savile colours to help me with my painting. So if I just come back through this and I come back maybe to some of that yellow, which I would call my base colour, that yellowy cream. If I think, and I do think that's a bit too sudden, a line change, a shape change, I can just blot it out with my yellow. And here, that's a bit too sudden. I can just blot it out. Remember, I'm trying to use this palette of colour around. I am going to put some more yellow in, but I'm going to do that at a later date, just pure yellow. So that's how I'm getting my colours going. I'm just going to show you my photo again. So here I've got facial hair coming across in the edge of the nose. So I'm going to translate that into this kind of mid-range again. And that facial hair was sort of here. I might end up adding some grey into here, but I don't want to at the moment because I know if I add grey, that's going to make it quite murky. But what I do want, just like when I did the hair, is I do want some texture in here. So I'm using my Jenny Savile pink, neon pink, but I'm putting some texture in. And I might come back to some of my skin tones here. So I've got a sort of browny orange called burnt sienna. If I mix that with some of the fluorescent pink, I get a sort of a browny pink. That's going to give me a new tonal range, slightly darker than the colours that I've been using just in this tutorial. I think that will work well to bring my palette down a little bit, to be a little bit more like the original photograph. I might put a bit of that over there to bring that down. And also just within, it's a bit wet there, make this a little bit darker. So I'm really looking at my tonal palette, the Jenny Savile painting that I'm referring to, but my swatches from last week, because I need to remember what those original colours were that were within my photographs. I'm just going to work through some different areas using exactly the same principles. I'm going to put some hair in up here using some of the grey and some of the burnt sienna and the pink, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute.